Today on Houston Life, how the power of music kept a mother and her newborn bonded after being separated at birth due to COVID-19.
Plus, we'll go behind the scenes at San Jose Clinic to learn what a typical day in the life of a pharmacist looks like.
And we're going to chat with a healthcare worker who went from working on the front lines to the pandemic to fighting for her own life after contracting COVID.
And we are celebrating some of our local healthcare workers with a very special lunch delivery from Papa John's. And even more surprises coming up today on this special edition of Houston Life.
Live from Studio B and KPRC2. Houston Life starts now.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Houston Live. It is Thursday, May 6, 2021. I'm Courtney Savala, but we are not in Studio B, people.
We are certainly not. Hi, Courtney. Hi, everyone. I am Derek Shore. What a beautiful day to get outside and celebrate National Nurses Day. Also, the start of National Nurses Week. Today is the first day. It runs May 6th through the 12th. And what better place to really highlight our healthcare workers and celebrate all their hard work over the past 1 year plus on the front lines of the pandemic, COVID-19.
You know, there are so many stories for decades that have come out, of course, here at the Texas Medical Center. So many breakthroughs, so many heartaches. But over the last 12 months, we are hearing these stories of survival and sometimes such tragic heartbreak where our frontline workers, our emergency workers, our healthcare workers were really the only connection to the outside world for families that couldn't visit their loved ones in the hospital. And they became part of people's families, which I think this happened every single day, multiple times a day, over and over again. And it's our turn to salute these heroes that have been out here fighting this pandemic every single day.
It is so true. And they really acted as sort of like surrogate family members, again, for family who had loved ones in the hospital, unable to see them face to face. We depended on these healthcare workers to just have conversations with them, hold their hand, to be with them, heartbreakingly for many families, in their loved ones' final moments. So today, we're going to really sort of take the hour to highlight those healthcare workers. And if you've been watching KPRC2, you have seen our newscasts. This is just part of our coverage celebrating our heroes, Courtney.
We love taking our show on the road. My advice to you right now, though, get some Kleenex. There's some really amazing just stories that are going to tug at your heart that I know you're going to need the Kleenex. I don't know where ours is, but we're going to find some. And what's really cool is we've been celebrating, of course, all of these nurses and doctors and healthcare workers today. And one of the ways that we're saying thank you is from HEB, Blooms by HEB. And I met Katie and Vicki, who are around the medical center today, delivering all these beautiful flowers. Look at them.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Beautiful women, beautiful flowers. And of course, Blooms by HEB, they do our flowers on set every single day. But today they are giving flowers to nurses in honor of Nurses Appreciation Day. So it's a simple but lovely way to give back.
And it smells beautiful too. HEB, of course, is giving thanks to several groups who stepped up during the pandemic through their week of gratitude happening until Monday.
All right, we're looking forward to some beautiful blooms throughout the hour. Well, from the latest headlines to the unsung heroes, KPRC2's health reporter Haley Hernandez has had a front row seat to the many stories of the pandemic.
That's right, and she's joining us now to share some of her most memorable experiences and also, of course, a personal connection. It's so good to see you in person. Normally, we just see you in passing. And
I know, and rarely with the pandemic, right? So this is so great to be vaccinated and outside and no mask and getting to talk to people again. And that's why, you know, like, this is the perfect time to really celebrate our healthcare heroes. I'm so happy to be doing that all day today because this isn't the end. We know that,
right?
But this is the final push, and we need to be out here encouraging them because until we get everyone vaccinated and that herd immunity, this is our push to the end.
For sure. And I feel like one of the biggest ways we can all say thank you, send our love, and pay our respects to these frontline workers is to simply roll up our sleeves and get vaccinated.
Yes, I think that's what they all want us to do, and we are certainly making progress. Robert Lucky, one of the nurses that I talked to, and we aired his story earlier today, he said, our foot is on the pedal and we can't let up now. And that's the perfect analogy.
And we should mention, I'm so glad you talked about vaccines, because all three of us, yes, we are fully vaccinated. And I feel like that's now part of our conversation when we're seeing people outside. I'm fully vaccinated, but I'm still wearing my mask. But let's just rewind just a little bit, Haley, as we think about last March and where you were as far as a health reporter. And when we were on the brink of everything shutting down here, of course, we were seeing what was happening around the world and across the country. Did you think it was going to get as bad as it did?
No way. I talked to Dr. David Purse, the City of Houston health doctor, earlier today, and I said, I can't believe you called it. He told me we were going to have tents in parking lots. We were going to have to test people and keep them away from other patients in the hospital because they were going to be that sick and that contagious. And when he told me that, I was like, well, that's if it gets here. You know, I mean, it was hard to wrap my brain around the fact that our community would get that sick and stay sick for more than a year. So I'm really glad that a vaccine became available so quickly and that we are making that final stride.
And when we talk about doctors, nurses, the respiratory therapists who have been so busy over the past year, these are folks we mentioned earlier who cannot turn their workday off. No. You and your husband, Haley, what is incredible is you have two brand new babies at home. Your husband actually works down here at the Texas Medical Center. There he is. Yeah. You are Houston's only health reporter. So not only were you taking care of new babies at home, look at this beautiful photo, but you two really sort of had to deal with the day-to-day of your husband changing his clothes and showering at work and then getting home and going through that whole process again in the garage.
Yeah. No, I mean, I made him do that. You know, I mean, he knew how serious this was from his work at the hospital. He was terrified of bringing it home to us. I got pregnant at the beginning of the pandemic, which was very scary for the both of us. But yeah, I mean, we changed he showered at work, he'd come home, he'd change in the garage, he'd shower again at home before I would even let him touch our baby. You know, I mean, it was a really scary time for us. And I think that unless you have that personal connection, you don't realize how much fear this was bringing into households. And you know, I just see firsthand how much this is mentally weighing on our healthcare providers. And that's why this is a great opportunity to say thank you. And we're trying our best to lift their spirits at this point in the game because this is wearing on them. This is very hard.
And you know, what I love about this too is the way that you're saying thank you and really pushing this out there. It's a trickle down. So it's not just the doctors and the nurses, but it's the entire staff throughout the entire healthcare system that we can't forget. The housekeeping and the cleaning and people checking you in and all of that.
All of the coordinators, the med techs. Could you imagine if housekeeping didn't show up to work during a pandemic? I mean, this would have been rampant and it would have been so much worse. So we are thankful for every single person who showed up to work.
Well, KPRC2 health reporter Haley Hernandez, best of luck to you and your family. We can't wait to meet the babies at some point.
Thank you. Yeah, when it's safe for large gatherings, then you guys can meet them both.
We'll have a big play date.
Thanks, guys.
And thanks for all your work covering the pandemic as well. All right, we do want to hear from you, as always. Why not send a shout out to a medical hero in your life? Post your messages on our Houston Life Facebook page, and we will share some of those tributes a little later on in today's show.
And much needed tributes as well. Still to come, the heartwarming story of how a mother's heartbeat helped her stay connected to her newborn baby.
Plus, Lauren Kelly and our friends at Papa John's Pizza are making a very special lunch delivery, giving back to some of our local healthcare workers. Houston Life will be back in just 2 minutes.
All right, so today is a very special day. Obviously, we're broadcasting from the Texas Medical Center, but today specifically, I am here with Papa John's Houston president, Keith Stellins, at Memorial Hermann, and look at all these people behind us, Keith.
They look really hungry, I'll tell you what.
I think that's exactly why you're here. Why don't you tell everybody about what Papa John's is doing for National Nurses Day?
Well, it's National Nurses Day, the day that we need to celebrate these heroes I'm not a hero. I just brought the pizza. These guys are the heroes. And we're bringing enough pizza out here for 1,500 nurses. That's how many they got working today. Our way of saying thank you for what you did, not just during COVID, but even today, these guys are the greatest. So.
You know, it's sometimes I feel like a thankless job. They're working with the doctors and other people, and, you know, people come and they get in their waiting rooms, and it's the nurses that really take care of them and their family. And I love that they're all lined up, ready to get these pizzas. You're the pizza man. We love that you're here today with us as well.
You know, think about it. It's a scary job, too, because when COVID first came up, nobody knew what was going on, and I didn't come into the four walls. They did every day, without question. They came in, sacrificed, and let's face it, they saved us. So this is a real way for us to say thank you for all that you did.
Thank you, nurses. Thank you so much.
We are going to charge you for it. No, we're not. No, we're not.
Put it on Keith's bill for later.
What about that?
I do have to ask, do you think that you know which the nurses like to eat best? What do you think their favorite topping is?
It's always pepperoni, no matter what you do, no matter what country you go to, it's always pepperoni. So I'm sure there's pepperoni in here. So we brought pepperoni and cheese to keep it safe. But me, myself, I like a little green chilies on it. That fires it up.
I knew that. Keith, let's talk a little bit about the specials that Papa John has going on, just that started pretty much last March, right?
Yeah, so what we did was a crazy idea. One of my guys said, hey, we ought to do something that says to provide pizzas for these workers, the nurses, the doctors, the scientists, the first responders. And so we had this deal. We put it online, said buy one, give one. If you buy one, I will deliver one for you, because we couldn't get in here. I mean, this was like Fort Knox. And so we thought, well, how many people would do it? And to date, since last, I guess, February, we've given out 35,000 pizzas.
Wow, 35,000 pizzas. That's some hungry nurses right there.
We're not done yet. No. We still have 10,000 more to go.
Wow.
And every day it just continues. It continues. So every week we're in a different hospital, and we're wondering when they're going to get tired, but it doesn't seem like
they're not going to, right? You never do. Keith, don't go anywhere, because coming up a little bit later on the show, we're going to actually have one of those nurses in here so we can thank her personally. Keith, thank you so much. And Derek and Courtney, back to you guys.
Thank you.
All right, Lauren Kelly, very nice. 35,000 pizzas.
That's a lot of pizza.
A lot of hungry healthcare workers, that's for sure. All right, when Houston Life returns, we're taking you inside the San Jose clinic to see just how much heart and soul their hardworking pharmacists put in day after day.
Houston Life is back in 2 minutes.
Well, welcome back to Houston Life. You know, pharmacy is just another important role that plays into the healthcare system. And pharmacists do more than just filling out your prescription. They do everything from telehealth to vaccinations. And I got the opportunity to take a look inside what it takes to be a pharmacist at the San Jose Clinic. So we're switching things up a little bit today, and we're trading in our reporter hat for a pharmacy jacket. We're at San Jose Clinic to tell you all about what pharmacists do day to day. I'm speaking with Dr. Ebert. So you know what? It's around 9 o'clock. We want to start our work day, right?
All right, perfect.
Let's get started. What do we do first?
So traditionally, most pharmacists are in the dispensing role, and so we're going to have you dispense some medications here. I have a label for you. We have some medications, and then I have a vial, and this is a counting tray.
Oh, I love this part here.
So you can go ahead and pour it on this side of the counting tray.
Now, this is candy, just for everyone out there. We want to put that disclaimer out there first.
Absolutely. Candy is not medicine, and medicine is not candy, but just for the sake of visuals, we're using candy. And so you use the counting tray. These are the ones that will go to the patients, and these are the ones that will go back in the bottle.
All right, there we go. So that's 1, 2, 3. We're going to go ahead and give them 5 in there. I love this little contraption here because it goes right on in there.
And then lid.
There we go.
And a label.
And label. Look at that. I think I feel like a professional already.
Great, let's get you licensed.
All right, now that we have that done, there's a lot of other backhand work that you do as well.
Oh, most definitely. So before we actually even get to this process, there's a lot of other steps that go into place. And so I have here my technicians who are working on actually inputting the prescriptions, getting them from the providers, checking for accuracy, determining if the patient really needs the medication or not. They go through a few different steps here before it hits the pharmacist, who's doing a very thorough drug utilization review to make sure that we don't have any safety issues. Our primary concern is patient safety and making sure the patients get the correct medication that will help them have better outcomes and a better lifestyle.
And now the bagging.
Yes.
All right, we're going to get this in here.
And then we're going to include some medication information from the printer.
All right, here we go.
Voila.
There we go. And we are ready to deliver our prescription. I think our patient just arrived as well.
Yes, she's right here.
Thanks for coming by San Jose Clinic. We have your prescription ready here. You want to make sure that you take at least 2 a day or as needed for stress. Do you have any other questions about it? All right, thanks so much for coming by to San Jose Clinic. We hope to see you soon again.
Great job. That's wonderful.
Awesome. I think that was my first patient delivery, and we feel excellent about it. I think I can be a pharmacist now.
Absolutely. Just a few more years of education and a license, and we're good to go.
Thanks, Dr. Ebit, so much for having us at San Jose Clinic. We have some more prescriptions to fill, so let's get ready to do that.
Perfect. Let's do it.
As you can see, a very tough job that they do there, but there's so much work that they do behind the scenes as well. Like I said, more than just filling out your prescription. So Dr. Ebit was wonderful, and they have so much more information that you can learn about the San Jose Clinic. I'll have all that information up on our website, HoustonLife.tv. Courtney, Derek, we had a wonderful time being a pharmacist for a day, and I think I'm probably going to do a little bit more of that. I helped out so many patients that day, and I felt really good. So I know how great it feels being a pharmacist, making sure that everyone is at 100% health.
You know what? That is fantastic. And Joe, we met a Houston Life viewer who is also a pharmacist from Spring earlier. His name is Ralph. So Ralph, we appreciate you and your work. Joe, we'll see you later.
Love shining a spotlight on our pharmacists as well. We'll keep it right here. Coming up, KPRC2 anchor Chris Gutierrez is going to introduce us to a local nurse who's been fighting the pandemic on the front lines. We're going to have a peek inside her video diary that takes us through the entire year.
Plus, we're going to get a check of the forecast with Frank when Houston Life returns in just 2 minutes.
Is your
Well, welcome back to Houston Life. Courtney and Derek back with you. And of course, Tex is here as well, because we can't take Houston Life on the road and not have Tex here.
Of course not. And Tex has been having a fantastic time outside today. So much energy zooming around the grass here.
Taking paws with everyone.
He's a happy little pup. Well, if you're just joining us today, we are honoring our healthcare workers. It is, of course, National Nurses Day and the start of National Nurses Week. And earlier we asked you to send a shout out or two to a medical hero in your life. Here's some of what you had to say. We're going to get to your comments. Mickey writes in, the emergency COVID-19 team at Methodist Hospital, the Woodlands, who saved my life with their quick reaction to my case December 23rd of last year. By December 24th, I was at Methodist Hospital downtown getting a monoclonal infusion, which worked immediately and saved my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Glad you're still with us, Mickey. That's lovely.
I love hearing these stories. And Lori writes in, Dr. Bella Patel at UT Physicians Pulmonary Clinic. She is the most amazing, caring doctor helping patients like myself.
Very nice. And Karen writes in, Carrie D. Helms. She worked countless hours during the pandemic with Harris County Health at the Smith Clinic, Casa de Amigos, LBJ, and wherever else she was needed. She was also responsible for making sure my family was vaccinated. Love you, Carrie. All right. Thanks so much for sending in those tributes. Keep them coming in.
That's right. Join the conversation on our Facebook page. And we already know it's beautiful weather, right? Yeah. Today is absolutely beautiful. We could bottle this up and have it back in August. That would be amazing. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Frank Billingsley for a look at our forecast. And I'm just going to say it's lovely with a side of lovely.
I know. You know where I am? I'm 6 floors above you, where there's a restaurant here called Third Coast in the McGovern Building. And I've got the Methodist Hospital Centers. I've got Memorial Hermann, Baylor. It's an absolutely beautiful view from here. And Memorial Hermann, that's where the helicopter pad is for the life flights. And do you know that is the most used helipad in the country? 10 flights a day they bring in. We might actually see one while we're on air during the next few hours. So that was, I thought was really interesting. So great view from up here. And it's going to be, I think, if you like Cinco de Mayo and you like Cinco de Seis, I think Cinco de Siete is going to be pretty good too. Take a look at this evening. So I know the patios were full and probably some of you got left out. So we've got temperatures in the 80s right now. But as we go into the evening, we're going to continue right there in the low 80s and temperatures in the upper 70s. Humidity will continue to be low. So we're in great shape as we move into this evening. And honestly, Friday is going to look a lot like today. It's Friday night, the winds begin to turn. They'll be more southeasterly, so the humidity starts to creep in as we go into Saturday and Mother's Day. So Mother's Day, still a nice forecast, but the humidity is going to be a little up there. But you can see it's nice for brunch and breakfast and even the afternoon, all on the warm side, but a nice weekend. Very low chance of rain. The rain starts to move in as we go into next week with the funnel system. It's going to move in here and then just park itself all week long. So grab these days while you can. It's absolutely stunning out there. And if you got left out of a fun Cinco de Mayo patio last night, go find a fun Cinco de Seis patio tonight because it's going to be absolutely perfect. Enjoy it. I'll have more on your full forecast at 4 o'clock.
I love the way you think.
Cinco de Seis. We'll take it. Thanks, Frank. We'll see you soon.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Well, throughout today's show, we've introduced you to some of the many healthcare heroes who have been making a difference in our community during this last year, during the pandemic.
For sure. And joining us now with another example of a local hero's hard work, KPRC2 anchor Chris Gutierrez. And Chris, you have a really cool story coming up at 6 o'clock. Essentially, a frontline nurse who documented pretty much an entire year of COVID-19.
Yeah, so her name is Jennifer Steinberg, and essentially she is the director of ICU for the Memorial Hermann Southwest campus. So right by her TV station,
yeah.
Beach Nut and 59 right there. And essentially, she would get off of her shift. She says she'd stay there sometimes till 2 o'clock in the morning, and she just went out to her car, she took a deep breath, and she just hit record on her cell phone because she wanted to really document what it was like in those early days of being on the front lines of fighting COVID-19. You see her here. This is just one of the many video diaries, a video journal, she calls it, where she would just look into that camera, speak from the heart, and then post it on Facebook. And she says it gained a lot of traction.
It certainly did. And I think for a lot of people, and especially for her, it could have been therapeutic in that moment, right? Where she was processing the day as it was happening, and in a way for probably her to remember it, but not really realizing what this was going to do to others who would watch this as well.
One of the things that really touched me, Courtney, is when she talked about, we all deal with stress and we all cope with things differently.
Right.
And a lot of times we talk with each other, we talk with our loved ones, however it works. She says that she would go home and her husband just didn't understand. So she would have to talk to her colleagues at work who were living this with her. Right. These colleagues were afraid to go home because at times they were afraid that they could potentially, get their loved ones sick with COVID-19. Remember, they had to don all that PPE to get into these rooms and things like that. And she said their loved ones just couldn't comprehend what they were going through. A lot of hospital systems invited counselors out so they could kind of debrief and talk through those feelings and emotions. But she said this was an opportunity for her to just document this in real time, speak from the heart. She says it helped even her own colleagues because they would watch it and see, you know what, my boss gets it. My boss understands what I too am going through. And she said it just helped and it worked.
It's incredible, Chris, that here we are more than a year into this pandemic. And for so many of us, even though we've been covering these stories, right, to some degree, our lives, for many of us, they've just sort of continued as normal. For the healthcare workers, for the frontliners, I know that, there's hope that we're about to turn a corner. But what's the sense that you got from Jennifer? Because I know for a lot of people I've spoken with, they're wearing thin.
The patients are still coming in. Right? And if you look at those numbers that we report daily on KPRC2, you get a sense of how big of a problem this still is. It's a global pandemic, right? And so, yes, the vaccination is out. Yes, more and more people are being vaccinated. But the reality is there's no cure. Right? And they know this. And I think to some degree there is some concern of what's, we commonly call a second wave, right? As more places open up, as we go out and venture out and do more things. So there's real concern there. But she says that, she's happy to see that what once was 10 patients per day, only in her ICU unit is now dropping to 2, maybe 3 a day. But just this week, she said a 35-year-old came in currently being ventilated, tubes, everywhere. Listen to this. At times they have to, what they call prone these patients. You know what that means?
Face down.
Face down.
Right.
We did that for our kids called tummy time.
Yeah.
And it essentially, it alleviates some of that pressure on their lungs, and they lay there for 12 to 14 hours a day. And when you hear these stories, you think, my goodness, this is a real thing, and it's still happening.
And you know what else is still happening is the long haulers, right?
Yeah.
My husband's going through it. He has terrible ringing in his ears. It hasn't stopped. He's coming up on 6 months after being tested positive. So we don't know what's ahead for these patients that have recovered, or for the healthcare workers, and what the long-term effects are down the road. Right. And so this type of video diary is so therapeutic. It's so helpful to know that they're not alone.
Yeah, and again, it touched everybody.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to be a nurse. You don't have to be a doctor to watch that video and just get it. Right? And she said that's why people from around the world sent her and her staff little things like gift cards to keep their momentum up. Right? They wanted to treat them and show them, like, hey, we are here for you. We get it. And again, this is a snapshot. This is one ICU director in Houston. The largest medical center in the world is right here in our hometown, right? And this is just one nurse who decided to take this opportunity to let the world know what she was up against.
And that story is coming up at 6 o'clock. We can't wait to see more about it and hear from her. And I know that you're honored to tell her story as well. That's what today's all about.
Absolutely. What a great day. Gorgeous weather. So thank Frank up there on the 6th floor.
I know, right? It's a good day to be outside.
KPRC2 anchor Chris Gutierrez, thanks so much. Looking forward to see the rest of Jennifer's story. All right, coming up, from taking care of patients to being a patient herself, a local healthcare worker shares her story of battling COVID-19.
Plus, Lauren Kelly and our friends at Papa John's are getting ready to make a very special lunch delivery in honor of National Nurses Day. Houston Life will be right back. Driver. Well, Iris Avila worked on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic until suddenly her life turned upside down.
Yeah, she went from being a dedicated patient care assistant to finding herself becoming the patient herself. She joins us now. Iris, 32 years old, and you've spent your career taking care of other people. Tell us how this all happened. How did you find yourself getting sick and needing care?
Well, as the pandemic started, we were all learning. It's a new situation where we're trying to find ways to stay healthy and not get sick ourselves. But when you are working with patients, you do your diligence to keep yourself safe from others. Working as a patient care assistant, you work directly with patients, checking on them, communicating with them to help aid with the doctors and the nurses to take care of the individual patient that we're taking care of. When I was diagnosed with COVID, after working a shift, I started to feel ill, a little feverish, didn't think much of it. I said, maybe, could it be? Wasn't sure. A few days later, the fever kept continuing until I got tested, got my results that I was positive. A few days after, I started to get more and more short of breath, had gotten an oximeter, which I could check my oxygen levels. And that was the key that helped me determine when to go to the emergency room. Once I went to the emergency room, got admitted, started with a tube in my nose to get oxygen to help me breathe. Within 30 hours, I progressed from a tube to my nose to a tube down my throat. Before I got intubated, the doctor let me know we had tried a vapotherm machine, which gives more oxygen, but my oxygen levels weren't staying up. So then he just told me it's time to go ahead and get on that ventilator. So I called my brother, who I knew was the only one that could take the news to the rest of my family. Hey, I'm not going to be able to communicate for a few days, because I'm going to be placed on the ventilator because I can't breathe without it. So I spoke with him, prayed, and was ready for the doctor to put that tube. Then I was in a medically induced coma. When I finally was awake, alert, aware of my surroundings, I looked into our, every room has a board, has the nurse's name, patient care assistant's name. a date, and I realized what the date was, and I just told myself, I had a friend with me that moment actually, and I just looked at her, Maribel, if that's not today's date, that cannot be today's date. I went in April 10th to the emergency room, and when I woke up from that coma, it was May 11th, and that cannot be today's date. It's been a month that I've been in a induced coma. I cannot. I was processing that, and then having to think I'm awakening from this virus that actually not only, I thought I was going to get sick at one point, sure. I'll stay at home, do my isolation time, and I'll be back at work. Never did I think I was going to get so sick that I was going to need a ventilator, ECMO, and dialysis while I was trying the best to keep alive for myself. After waking and realizing what had happened, I had to start all over again. As far as I was awake, but my strength was gone. I could barely move my arms to raise them. I had no strength whatsoever in my legs. I couldn't stand, I couldn't move them. It was just, I was dumbfounded and depressed. I'm an active person, always helping out, doing what I can for myself and others. And then just to feel useless at that moment, that I am awake. Yes, I'm thankful to be alive, but I have to put my strength back somehow to get where I was. So I was in the ICU for about 2 more weeks, went to rehab for another week, was able to get myself home to continue rehab at home, because what I really, really wanted once I was awake was to be with my loved ones, especially my daughter.
Right.
That was my biggest motivation, was my daughter.
And how old is she, Iris?
She's now 10.
She is now 10. And I mean, I told y'all to grab the Kleenex. This is so incredible, and I appreciate, both Derek and I appreciate you sharing this journey and the raw emotion, and we're so glad that you're here. I know we could talk to you for probably 2 more hours, but what is so great about you, Iris, is you've decided to find your passion and to continue your passion to help others, and you want to go to nursing school.
I do.
I have a feeling you are going to make an incredible nurse.
Thank you.
You will, Iris. Listen, before we let you go, our friends from HEB, they have a little surprise for you.
Oh.
Lovely flowers that they created just for you. And there's a card right there, if you don't mind just grabbing that.
Okay.
Open that up and tell us what it says inside.
Oh, May Heroes, the rest of Houston. Oh, congratulations, Iris. You are KPRC May Hero. You made a difference in communities across the greater Houston area. Thank you, KPRC, and your family.
Well, listen, that is actually a brunch for 10 at the Rustic in Uptown for you and your friends and family to enjoy time together and to toast as you begin your new journey.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And I just want to say that I am very thankful for this opportunity to tell my story, but mostly to thank everyone that was with me. Because while I could not be aware of my surroundings, I know my family, my coworkers that are like my family, who I've worked with so many years, have pushed me and have helped me through this incredible journey. Because now that when I went back to work, just to be able to have them and help me has been an immense help.
It's incredible. Iris Avila, best of luck to you in nursing school, and we're glad you got better.
Thank you.
Keep us updated. Let us know when the party is. We'll come too.
All right.
Iris, it's beautiful to meet you. Thank you so much. And speaking of nurses, we have teamed up with our friends at Papa John's to say thank you for all the work that they have done on the front lines during this last year.
And who doesn't love a late lunch, right? Lauren Kelly has been hanging out with some of these frontline heroes along with our friends over at Papa John's. So, Lauren, we're going to send it back to you.
That's great, you guys. Yeah, there's never a time that you're not supposed to eat pizza. It's all the time, especially from Papa John's. I've got Keith here with me. I've got Joe Sam here with me. Also, while we are here at Memorial Hermann Hospital, I have Tony Von Wingstern, VP and Chief Nursing Officer right here at Memorial Hermann. First of all, thank you so much for what you do, not only today, not only over the last year, but for all times.
You're welcome. It's the nurses and the staff that do it every day.
We were kind of flabbergasted at the amount of nurses here at the hospital. About round number, how many nurses do you guys have here?
We have about 2,000 nurses here. On any.
It blows my mind. It's incredible. The shifts that they work, we're not talking 4 or 5 hour shifts. How long are these nurses working a day?
Most of the nurses here do 12-hour shifts.
And it's start to finish. They're having lunch here. They're having breakfast here. It's a full day.
It's a full day, and during a hurricane or the weather storm, it's often 24 hours a day.
And that's why we wanted to team up here with Papa John's and bring you guys this lunch in this afternoon in this beautiful atrium. This is a magnificent facility.
It's a beautiful facility. It's this where yours is. Was the original hospital in the Herman, Texas Medical Center.
Which is so wonderful. How long have you been a nurse?
I've been a nurse 35 years.
35 years and counting. Well, thank you again for all that you do and all of your staff here at Memorial Hermann do. We really appreciate it. We thank you guys every day.
Thank you to you, and thank you to Papa.
Absolutely. Jose, why don't you get to chatting with Mr. Keith over here?
Yeah, Keith is awesome, and we've already seen so many nurses coming back and forth, getting all of that tasty pizza.
Yeah.
Keith, you've been doing some great work here in the community. Tell us again, how many pizzas have you donated here today?
Since we started in January, we've given away 35,000 with another 10,000 to go, and you just told me you have 2,000 nurses. We brought enough for 1,500, so we got to hurry, go back and make some more. Well, they're going to be storming me. I know they are, and there's nothing worse. But I'll tell you what, this National Nurses Day, we're so happy to represent not just me, but the community, to come out and say thank you for all you've done and all you will do. Thank you very, very much.
Absolutely. And of course, thank you, Keith. Again, thank you, Tori. This has been absolutely wonderful. We're going to go ahead and send things back to you guys. Lauren and I, we have more work to do in showing these nurses out here some appreciation.
Sounds like you do. Joe and Lauren, thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
What a yummy story there. Okay, coming up after the break, we are going to introduce you to a music therapist.
Yeah, her incredible story when Houston Life returns. She used the power of song to help a mother and her newborn baby overcome challenges caused by the pandemic. Don't go away. You don't want to miss it.
Okay, grab the Kleenex. That's your warning. That's what I'm going to tell you. The bond between a mother and a child is something truly special. And this next story proves just how extraordinary it can be.
Yeah, so the power of music kept this mother and child connected during COVID-19. And KPRC2's Sophia Ojeda has the story.
When pregnant mom Emilia Herrera was rushed to the hospital with COVID symptoms early in the pandemic, she never imagined she would be in the hospital for weeks, let alone deliver her baby in a coma. A team of doctors, nurses, and music therapist Virginia Gray knew she would need extra love and care to get through this, and some music to make sure mom's bond with baby was not broken.
On April 8th, that actually I couldn't breathe. I was to a point I couldn't breathe. So that's when I'm like, okay, I have to go to the ER. I didn't wake up until the 18th.
And when mom, Emilia Herrera, 35 weeks pregnant, woke up from her medically induced coma, no more baby bump, lots of tubes, and a lot of confusion.
I was in shock. Like, even if it's been a year and it's still like so shocking to me.
When Emilia arrived at the hospital with COVID symptoms, she had to be intubated and put into a medically induced coma. She delivered baby Selena by emergency C-section and would be away from her for an entire month. Twinkle, twinkle. The medical team at Houston Methodist Hospital felt Emilia and baby Selena would benefit greatly from music therapy.
The music can actually change the rate of your heartbeat. It can change the blood pressure.
Virginia also wanted to make sure Emilia did not lose too much of a connection with baby. She recorded mom's heartbeat, set it to music, and sent it to grandma to play for baby Selena, because dad, too, was recovering from COVID.
I thought it was like, that's actually a great idea, because I was so worried I was not going to have that bond with her. It felt more reassuring, that she's actually, not forgetting me.
I said, your baby knows your heartbeat because she spent this time in your womb. Let's find a way to let baby hear your voice and dad's voice and your heartbeat. And that's one of the powerful things I think about the arts in medicine is it reminds the patient that they are not COVID or the disease that has brought them here, they are still a mom.
Baby Selena was born happy and healthy. She's now 1 and keeping mom and dad very busy. Emilia says Virginia Gray was not just her music therapist. She was her dear friend, checking on her every day with words of encouragement and much needed hugs. A risk, Virginia said, that has come with the greatest reward. For Houston Life, Sophia Ojeda, KPRC 2 News.
Well, senior music therapist Virginia Gray is joining us now, and we are so honored to have you with us today. And I always say that music does the heart and the soul good. And my goodness, this story proves it. It's really incredible.
Thank you very much.
And I know mom and baby were reunited Mother's Day, the day before Mother's Day, 2020. When you are looking back, I know this is your job, but when you're looking back and hearing just this one story, how does that affect you?
That's a great question. This reminds me how fortunate I am to work at a place like Houston Methodist that looks at the whole person. Not, so the doctors know, the nurses know that it takes a whole team of us to help support. Because like this young woman went through a traumatic experience, and then I get to be a part of the healing.
And we've talked a lot about family separation during this very difficult time where healthcare workers essentially have to serve as a surrogate for parents who can't be with their children. I think it's incredible. You were essentially able to duplicate mom's heartbeat and help baby fall asleep every single night.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, music therapy is something that is, in my mind, something that should be more widely used because it can have life-changing results.
I agree. You're preaching to the choir. And I've seen life-changing results. And it's not, sometimes it's emotional results because I'm a trained therapist that completed a college program, passed my boards, did my clinicals. And so we have learned how to use music and evidence-based music interventions to address, be they physical, psychological, cognitive goals to help to rewire a brain and to help people to heal.
It's incredible.
And it was working. I mean, you recorded Emilia's heartbeat to Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. You also recorded baby's heartbeat to their wedding song for Emilia to hear. And so this was working both ways. I mean, I know the baby, but mom needed to heal too.
Yes, she did. Because, I mean, you can imagine she woke up and baby wasn't there and she didn't want to miss that first part of her life. So anything that we could do to bring about those connections, just like Emilia said, it was beautiful.
Well, listen, you have given so much of yourself and your time over the past year. We do have a little surprise. Catherine, come on up. Kat, come on up. Let's give Virginia this lovely bouquet of flowers from our friends over at HEB. And open that little blue envelope and tell us what it says inside.
Okay, let me put my glasses on.
And while you do, we're going to bring up another surprise guest, Yuval Meikler from Texas Mattress Makers.
How are you, Virginia?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm perfect. I just wanted to come here because we heard what a wonderful thing you did. And we wanted you to sleep like the queen that you are. So we're going to make a special mattress that will fit you perfectly. You'll come to us and we'll custom make a mattress for you so you can sleep well and smile and be the sweet person that you are, because we really think that what you did for this lady is beyond words.
Well, thank you. It's my job, and it truly is an honor. I want to give you a hug.
Give me a hug.
I can't wait to get to mattress.
Love a good Yuval hug. Also, in the blue envelope, what you have there is you have a weekend stay at the Houstonian Hotel, Club, and Spa in Uptown Park. So you get to relax like the queen that you are.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You'll sleep well at the Houstonian. We know you helped baby sleep better, and mom as well. And Yuval from Texas Mattress Makers, again, providing a custom mattress so you can sleep better for the rest of your day.
This is perfect. Thank you. I'm so honored. Thank you.
Well, we're honored to tell your story, and I know, Yuval, this means a lot for you to be here as well.
Pleasure. Good to see you both, and thanks again for your work. Glad to know baby and mom are doing well and reunited.
It's wonderful to know.
All right. Well, I think we're just going to take a quick commercial break. So why don't we toss it to break, and we'll see you on the other side.
Well, Texas fir is beautiful in this wind, and we've had a great day taking Houston Life on the road.
It has been lovely meeting so many of these nurses, doctors, respiratory therapists. I mean, the list really goes on and on as we have been honoring our healthcare heroes, specifically our nurses, because of course today is National Nurses Day, and the weather couldn't have been better.
That's right. It's a wonderful day to honor all the frontline workers and what they've been through here at the Med Center over the last year.
Yeah, the wind is kicking up, and I think that means it is time for Houston Life to say goodbye. But do not worry, our friends Chris and Christine are standing by the desk. Hey, guys.